Hey YouTube, it's Thor Wayman with Wayman Distribution. So week 37. I'm trying to get my template here to open up. Go back to weekly. All right, so week 37, ending last Tuesday. Sorry, shaking there. Hold on a minute. Ending on the 16th, which was Monday. So this week starts the 17th, but I'm not into that week yet. So, because I don't have the settlement statement for that, but I know about what I'm going to get out of that one. Because I was able to drop everything. But we're not talking about this week. We're talking about last week, because I'm a week behind. That's about the only thing that's been behind lately. So I'll make this one short and sweet, and then I'll drop another one shortly, more than likely in the next few days. So week 37 was the week I started in Beach Island, because I had a trip. Wait a minute now, that wasn't Beach Island. Anyway, so that was the one where I went to Beach Island coming out of the house, and the load was not ready because the warehouse was having issues with their equipment. If y'all remember that from last video. If not, there's your refresher course. Thank you for attending. Have a nice day. Okay, so I ran South Carolina to Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania to Pennsylvania. That was a short run, but it was a good run. It didn't pay super duper amounts of money, but it was a low mileage for a high rate. I don't remember what it was. Then I went from Pennsylvania to Kentucky, Kentucky to Ohio, and Ohio to Tennessee. Trip numbers were 1193.73, 363.25, 626.65, 678.18, and 923.16 for a grand total of 3784.97. So that was 5 trips with an average of about 756.99 per trip over 7 days. Now, and fixed expenses were 1154.05. Variables. Variables were 1020.34 for a total of expenses of 2174.39. Net profit was 1610.58, and of course I don't see all of it because you got the MMA and the escrow account, as well as taxes that I'm putting off to the side. Although I was told 20%, I read that 20% is a little high to put over off to the side, but yeah, I don't care. I mean, if I'm supposed to pay 9% and I'm putting 20% aside, that means when I have $5,000 set aside for taxes and they want $2,500, I got $2,500 more dollars in my pocket. So total profit, I like how this thing breaks it down. My profit, actual profit for daily revenue was $230 a day. That's after expenses and everything. So, and the 3784.97 was on 2,588 miles for, that's not home, you fool. I hit the home button and I went to the wrong part of the screen. What do you expect? Derp-a-derp. For about $1.46 a mile, so good. It's okay. It'll do in a pinch. It's not what I want. I think I've said this before, but you know what? It pays the bills. And after everything gets taken out of my check, I got like over $1,000 coming to me in my pocket. So, I'm gonna be going with some health insurance. And I'm going to be using the MediShare, which is a Christian organization. So they want you to be Christian, but what they do is they share the bills. So I'll end up using that because my wife will be leaving her job. So I'm going to be using MediShare, and with the higher deductible, as usual with any insurance, you have a lower out-of-pocket cost. I'm going to start with a low deductible because I don't have, well, I mean, I got $4 or $5 grand saved, but I would rather that be used for emergencies other than emergencies if it's possible, you know. So anyway, my other bills that I have are almost done being paid for. Like I said, I got a low cost of living, but I did have a little bit put on the credit card because I got a rental on it when I went to orientation, and that's going to be done for really soon. As well as another personal private loan I have that doesn't get counted against anything. There are ways you can do that, but or there was with the company I was with. But so I'm gonna be rolling I have a 401k, and that's another thing I'll let y'all know about. But there's a way you can roll a 401k. Like if you worked somewhere else, like I did, and have a large sum. Well, to me, it's a large sum. When you have nothing, I don't know, 10 grand to me is a large sum. But it's actually more than that. But it's sitting in, and you know me. I'm constantly saying, quit letting them use your money to work for them, and use it to work for you. And here I am sitting on a literal silver mine, because it's not worth as much as gold, but it is worth something. I'm sitting on a silver mine, and I could turn it into a gold mine, and I'm playing like one of the people who doesn't know any better. And I was listening to some financiers, or however you call them, people on the radio station the other day, and they were talking about rolling those things over. So I got their name, and they give free consultations, but I'd like to find one local. This was in Iowa, Illinois, I don't know, something like that. So I want to find one local, possibly, to make a little bit of money off of my money and make me a lot of money off of my money, if that's at all possible, with low risk, you know, because in your investments you got high risk, depending on how old you are. I mean, if you start doing it, they recommend the younger you are, because you have more of a chance of bouncing back, of doing a high risk rate of return, which means you will lose your money if something goes wrong. You have like high, medium, and low. And I'm, you know, old. I'm an old man, so I mean, look at all that gray. Look at that. It's just getting more and more white every time I turn around. So I'm gonna go for, since I'm still shooting for 15 years before all my money is starting to come back to me, instead of see, I do have a 10-year plan. I got a 3-year, 5-year, 10-year. 3 years pay this thing off, and 5-year is finish investing everything I want to invest, and 10-year is 5 to 10 is basically keep investing into the businesses I plan on making, but also live off the investments of that business if I can. I mean, if I have to, I'll drive this thing for 10 years and be done with it, but I don't really want to do that for this long, because guys, this is a frustrating job. I mean, I am a high performance in a high stress situation guy. I get things done when I'm in a job, and this job, there's nothing to it. I book loads, I drive the truck, and I deliver loads after I pick them up, and I swing doors. I mean, how hard is that? Even if I was running flat, I mean, okay, now I got to throw tarps up and strap it down and make sure the load's secure that way. Or heavy, which is what one guy wants to hire me for when I've had 2 years experience, because it'll be cheaper on his insurance and he can afford to work with me. But I mean, I don't want to haul heavy, especially not with a Schneider truck. I mean, I would do it with one of the 389s he's got over there or whatever, but I don't have any practice in that, and doing that for a couple of years with him, I'd probably go somewhere else, because he's a great guy, but I don't think he'd pay me what heavy is actually worth, because I mean, I haven't physically spoken to anybody, and I'm sure there's exaggerations going on, but when you can make enough money to relax for a month after hauling 1 or 2 loads and not sweat it, that's what I'd like to do. But you know, I just don't want to do this, because I drove a taxi in the 90s, and right, yeah, in the 90s, and guys, nobody knows how to drive anymore. It's so insane. And I can't say nothing, because I was one of those guys that would whip in and out of traffic. I mean, I did 80 miles an hour in rush hour traffic when I was driving my cab. I didn't care. I made decent money. I mean, I made enough to make a living, but back then I didn't care. So it was make the money to pay the bills and make enough to get a beer and be done for the day. You know, it's not. But this is different. I mean, you can make enough. I mean, that's like, and guys, if you're younger, don't do that, because you're gonna sit here and do this kind of crap, and then this is like a football player or basketball, baseball player. You never know when that last thing is going to happen that is going to make you regret even driving a truck. I know a cab driver that ran over somebody and killed them because of what that person did, and he couldn't drive for like 2 or 3 years. I mean, how would you feel? And there's a lot of people out there with no remorse doing all kinds of different jobs, and I know there's some in this position too, but I mean, how would you feel if you sat out there and crashed into somebody because they drove like idiots? I mean, because, you know, there's a lot of us out there that say somebody cuts you off, and there's been truck drivers in all parts of the industry, dump truck drivers, rigs, all of it, that have avoided the accident and ended up killing themselves. And I don't know what I would do in that situation. I'd like to say I wouldn't end up running into them, and I wouldn't end up killing myself, but I might end up wrecking my truck. Regardless of the situation. I mean, if I ended up killing somebody, or perish the thought, if I killed myself trying to dodge someone, I really don't think I'm going to dodge somebody, because, you know, I don't know, man. It's rough. You got to consider that. I mean, you don't know when your last breath is going to be taken, guys. So I'm not living my life to, I mean, back in the day, I used to party. Didn't matter. I was invincible. And I know young people, they all think they're invincible, but you're not. You're not. And if you live like that and something happens that takes away your livelihood, anything you do can be used against you in this job. So, you know, take your money and put it where it's going to be made the best use of for you financially. Because, I mean, you might plan on doing this 10 years, 15 years, but God, and I don't care what you say. You can say fate, whatever, I don't care, but God has you got another plan for you, buddy. And if you're living wrong one way or another, I've seen it tons of times. It'll come bite you in your butt. And this job, and you could be living right, and it'll come bite you in your butt. I mean, there's a guy that was on the other day that used CBD oil on his bones, his achy bones or muscles or whatever, because he's got arthritis or something like that. And I don't know how many of y'all saw that, but he was a trucker, and CBD oil has THC in it. I don't care what anybody says, how many times you can prove it. It's so small. It doesn't matter, guys. It doesn't matter how small of a portion it is. They don't care. I mean, until another 10, 15 years from now, when it's completely legal, then it might change. But by then, this industry is going to be completely different. There's going to be a robot driving the truck, and, you know, whose fault is it going to be then when the car gets crushed by the truck? Oh, the truck can't crush it because a robot's driving it. My hairy butt. Give me a break. Can't crush it. Robots driving vehicles. Robots are going to take over this world. And then we're going to have the Terminator. And, you know, it's just going to be robots living. Yeah, that's far-fetched, ain't it? Maybe. Anyway, so what else do I have? What else do I have? I got nothing else, guys. That's about it. I mean, I don't remember much of last week. So it was all driving and loading and unloading. Well, not me necessarily. Mostly dropping hook, but a few live loads here or unloads here and there. As usual, money was good. Money's there. It's supposed to pick up soon, very soon, like in the next couple of weeks, up until right before Christmas, a hair before Christmas or a hair after Christmas, and then it's going to die. Excuse me, until like March. So, oh, and another thing, I don't know if I said this before. Do not buy Blue Parrot. That's my opinion of Blue Parrot. I got a B550 XT with rewards points with a $30 rebate. The rebate turned into a $20 rebate, and I still have yet to see it. I went round and round with them. With the issue I had, the boom mic wouldn't work unless I pushed it up against my head, and occasionally it would work, and then it would quit working. And finally the guy said, well, why don't you download the updater? Well, why don't you... Okay. So I downloaded the updater, and now it works, but I can't get the updater to recognize the Bluetooth anymore. So, you know, anybody want to buy a $200 Bluetooth, I'll sell it to you for $120. Or trade me a brand new, some other kind of Bluetooth headset. And I don't like it either. I don't like it because this piece right here on my ear, see that? The way it pushes up against my ear. If you wear glasses, do not buy this with this big thing. It'll hurt your head. It'll push your ear up against your glass frame, and good times were had by all. Anyway, that is all for last week, week 37. Stay tuned for week 38. It's coming pretty soon because, you know, today is the last day of week 38, and I just dropped 2 loads today. So, yeah. What, about $1,700 total worth? I don't know. One quick one and one long one that lasted from a day or 2 ago. Anyway, you guys, keep the left door closed and keep the hammer down and keep the shiny side up and keep the rubber side down and, you know, all that good stuff.